Hi everyone, and welcome back to another 5DT with me. And seeing as we are at the end of one year and moving into a next, I thought that it would be very apropos for me to talk about the concept of time. And even though we're a little bit past this event, we just had the winter solstice. And there are two solstices every year, one in June, one in December. And the December solstice marks the shortest day of the year for those of us north of the equator and the longest day for those in the south. And so we're kind of at this precipice now where we start to notice the length of the day in a couple of weeks anyway, beginning to be filled with more warmth, more sunshine, and then as we move into spring and summer, we have those beautiful long days. But we are coming to the close of 2023. It has been a very, very rough year for many, many of us. If it hasn't been a rough year for you, kudos to you. I am in certain ways really looking forward to the mindset shift of just a reset moving into 2024. I think that energetically there are going to be a lot of changes this year as well. We're seeing a lot of things brimming and brewing, and I think that is going to bring more and more things to the surface and catapult us into further shifts as we move further. So let's talk about time. The concept of time is a fickle and complex thing, and it is a human construct. It is a way that we have developed in order to keep track of time, in order to measure productivity. And there are a lot of phrases in the human language around time. Just in the nick of time, time is money, there's never enough time, I wish I could have more time, all divine timing, all of these phrases that we use in our everyday language surrounding time. But nonetheless, we measure everything with time, whether it's by minutes, by seconds, by hours. And I think the one thing that we all probably wouldn't argue about is there is never enough time in the day. I always say that I could win some kind of Nobel Peace Prize or something if I just changed the amount of minutes in an hour and created 25 hours in a day. Even if we did that, the funny thing about time is how we choose to utilize it, more so than how we choose to measure it. Because at the end of the day, and I know this from personal experience, let's say I'm walking into work, this is just a hypothetical, and I know I have 5 important things that I have to get done that day. They're all top tier, top level A projects. And some of them, hopefully, I've been working on for a while, and they just need to be tied up by the end of the day. I will somehow figure out a way, even if it means I have to delegate, whatever it means, to get those 5 things done by a deadline. If I walk into work the next day and I only have to achieve 2 things, in that same amount of time, I'm going to get those 2 things done. Not 5, just 2, right? So how we choose to utilize our time is, in my opinion, more important than how we choose to measure it. And one of the things that I am intending, and I'm going to talk about intentions in a separate post, and follow my blog for sure about this as we move into the new year. But rather than setting goals or resolutions for myself, I choose to set intentions. And one of my intentions for the new year is to utilize my time better. I've been very fortunate in the last 2 years to have more time to myself, to carve out a space where I get to regulate my nervous system the way that it should have been regulated this whole time. But I have been very fortunate in having a more relaxed schedule whereby I can do that. I can sink deeper into my mindfulness. I can sit with my writing, I can sit with my breath work, I can sit with all of the tools that I have available to me in order to nourish myself, in order to take care of myself. And so in that regard, I've been very lucky, and I know that not everyone has those same circumstances. But at the end of the day, I still feel as if I am not utilizing my time to the best of my ability. And that's part just the perfectionism that I'm still reprogramming in myself and things like that. But I think that it would be hard to argue by many of us that we don't have the ability to improve how we utilize our time on a day-to-day basis. And when we feel like time is running out, we can often rush through things. Sadly, sometimes that's when mediocrity comes into play, and that's where I get stressed because of my history of perfectionism. And on the other hand, when we feel that we have all the time in the world, which kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, we may procrastinate or take certain things for granted. And so ultimately, the way that we choose to spend our time is what gives it meaning. And whether we're working towards a goal or spending time with loved ones or however we're choosing to spend our time, it's up to us how we value and prioritize our time. So the unique thing about mindfulness is that when you prioritize your mindfulness and it's at the forefront of your lifestyle, your day, a consistent practice, we have this unique ability both internally and externally to create more time and to create more space. And if there's one thing that my students consistently say to me when they get out of a session or when they get to the end of class is, and I typically teach 60-minute classes, by the way, they say, "It's over already? That felt like 5 minutes." And so when we get the ability and the time and we give ourselves the permission to go inward and to explore our own consciousness and to delve into the vastness of who we are, really see ourselves for our authentic self, not the roles that we play in the day-to-day, not the I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a brother, I'm a father, I'm a teacher, I'm a mechanic, I'm a sales director, I'm a whatever it is. Pushing all of those roles aside, pushing all of those labels aside, when we get the opportunity to sit within our authentic self, time just slips and falls away. So that's one of the beautiful benefits above and beyond reduced stress, reduced anxiety, improved concentration and focus, improved immune system, improved sleep patterns, all of the wonderful things that come with mindfulness practices. The other added kind of icing on the cake, cherry on top of the cake, whatever you want to call it, is that we can create more time for ourselves. Now, look, I get it. Not everybody has the opportunity to sit down for an hour to meditate. In fact, I encourage you to start low and slow. And if you're incorporating it into your everyday life, start with 5 minutes. Maybe you work your way up to 10. Maybe you work your way up to 15. Maybe 15 is your sweet spot. Doesn't have to be an hour, but in that 15 minutes, you can create more time for yourself, because what ends up happening is the focus and the clarity that you receive from a meditation, especially if you're like working on a project or you're in this situation where you're kind of at the fork in the road, right? You have one decision to make over another, you have one path to take over another. Meditation and breathwork and mindfulness in general gives you enough clarity, even after a short practice, to be able to move forward in those decisions. And so it helps make up for time that you may have been wasting sitting on the hamster wheel at your desk, right? Like looking at this problem on your computer, trying to problem solve through it. I can't figure it out. And meditation allows us to explore our inner consciousness in a way that is truly unique and relaxing. This presence with yourself allows you to detach from outcomes, allows the expectations to fall away. And there's a sense of freedom that we get, especially from the modern, crazed, overstimulated, technology-driven world that we live in. And we can find peace and we can find space and we can find time in that time that we're sitting with ourselves. So let's talk about divine timing for a minute. And it really is important and for us to think about, because so often things that we want to have happen in our life, the plans that we have for ourselves, the phrase is, if you want to play a joke on God, make a plan. And it's true, because when we don't give ourselves the time and the space for things to unfold the way that they are destined to, as opposed to the way they are fated, we end up screwing with timelines sometimes too in doing that. And we can actually prolong our suffering as a result. I'm laughing because, guys, I do this regularly. Just because I'm a mindfulness instructor does not make me any less fallible than anyone else. So as we talk about divine timing, I think it's important as we move into the new year, we give ourselves that refresh, that reset, that we remind ourselves that as much as we want 2024 to be so much better than 2023 has been, that all good things take time. And being able to sit in an attitude and a mindset of patience, that patience is what is going to allow me to stop striving so much for certain things. And I'm not saying this in the sense of being lazy, just in the sense of when you're pushing the river all the time and you're trying to make things happen, but they're not happening for you. You're trying to manifest things into your life and they're not coming in. It is because it is not happening in the divine timing that has been planned for that to happen in your life, or you're not aligned in a way where that can then enter your life. And so just thinking about how we can take ownership and take accountability for the things that we have control over, right? And there are definitely things that we don't. That's why we talk about divine timing, because a lot of that stuff is out of our control. And that's, we live in such a hustle-driven, programmed, and controlled environment as human beings that a lot of us have control issues, myself included. And so it's my wish for you all in 2024, as we move into a new time, that you have the discernment between what that is, the things that you can control, the things that you can take accountability for, including your own mental, physical, emotional health, spiritual well-being, all of those things, and letting go, releasing, and coming to a level of acceptance of the things that you have no control over. And allowing that part of your life, as you lean in to acceptance and fall out of resistance, allow those things to naturally happen for you in 2024. So take time to take care of yourself. And before I go, actually, this is a good point that I should bring up. One of the things and one of the reasons that I built the program that I built around stress and trauma recovery is because I was very, very frustrated for many, many years of not being able to find all of the resources that I needed. I spent time in doctor's offices because my physical symptoms had gotten out of control as a result of the amount of stress that I was under. I was extremely burnt out, and it was a very, very dark time and a scary time for me because I was always proud of being able to call myself a healthy, fit person. And without listing all of the symptoms and all of the things that were going on with me, and I was in a lot of doctor's offices, and I was being made to feel like I was imagining the things that were happening to me. And there were so many things concurrently happening to me that it also just didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. When I was able to finally find all of the tools and the resources that had lined up for me and aligned for me in my life, I was able to catapult my healing, not just physical, but also mental and emotional and spiritual, into a whole different universe. And things really started shifting, things really started happening for me. I was able to become whole again. And as a result of that, I came to realize that there are a lot of people, especially the more and more that I teach, there are a lot of people who are out there grasping at straws, just trying to find the right thing that works for them. So I developed this program not just to be of service to people because of everything that I had gone through, but also to save you all time. I want to help people not get to a level of stress, a level of anxiety, a level of burnout that I got to before they can peel back the layers on that physical, mental, emotional recovery and give themselves the healing that they need, give themselves the healing that works for them, because we're all different, and get that time back. Because I am telling you guys, the more you put off the commitment to yourself, I'm going to prioritize my self-care. I want to get into a program like this in order to literally transform my life. I need to do something or I am going to crack. I want to prevent as many people as possible from getting to that point in their life. If you're already there, just know that the time that it takes to recover from all of that can take a very long time. The program is built for me to not only be there with you for 12 weeks, but also to walk away with all of the tools and all of the resources that you need. Once we're done with our time together, you have everything in your toolkit in order to go and truly sit in your own personal power and say, I know that I have the power to heal myself. I have all of these tools at my disposal. I have to take accountability and accept that I have to use them in order to heal myself. Look for the link below. There will be information on how to book a discovery call. I don't want you guys to put any more time toward your own suffering. Maybe that's the promise you make to yourself in 2024. I am no longer putting my time toward my own suffering. I'm going to stop this in its tracks. I'm going to figure out a different way of living my life, and I'm going to take control back once and for all. So in addition to discernment of what you have control over and what you don't, my wish for you is that you get that time back. And if you want to discuss how you can do that with me, I am always here. If not, and you have other plans for yourself, I wish you the utmost success on your journey. But know that I am always here if you have questions along the way. So with that, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. And I wish you a very, very happy new year. I hope everyone had a safe, healthy holiday. I know a lot of people have been sick. So let's take this flip on the calendar and utilize it to our advantage to have a year filled with fun, a year filled with joy, a year filled with laughter, a year filled with great memories, and brings you to a path of peace. So namaste, everyone, and I'll see you at the next 5D tea with me.